discover the surprising truth about how most Americans are reaching millionaire status. It's not through risky investments or real estate, as many might believe. This episode of Eyes on the Prize will examine the pitfalls of chasing quick riches through complex investment products and reinforce the idea that slow and steady wins the race when it comes to building wealth. You can find the link to the Morningstar article in the description below.
All right, so are you ready to dive into how to get rich in America?
I'm always ready to talk about building wealth.
Okay, cool. Well, this is not about like winning the lottery or risky bets or anything.
Yeah.
It's more like, it's surprisingly straightforward.
Straightforward.
Yeah. You know those 401ks everyone tells you to set up and forget about?
Yeah.
A recent Fidelity report showed that more and more people are becoming millionaires through them.
Oh, wow. That is interesting. It's funny how the most effective strategies are often the least flashy ones. While everyone's out there chasing the latest investment fad, these folks are quietly building their fortunes.
Yeah, like the tortoise and the hare.
Exactly.
And we've got data to back it up. This Fidelity report shows a clear trend. The number of 401k millionaires is growing faster than ever.
It's not some secret formula, you know? It's just consistent investing over time.
That makes sense.
Just imagine setting aside a little bit from each paycheck and watching it grow.
Yeah, like a financial time machine.
Yeah, and don't forget about compounding.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
It's like adding rocket fuel to your investments. Even small, regular contributions can snowball over time.
That's amazing. But, sometimes those flashy investments are hard to resist. They promise those huge returns. Like, hey, skip the slow lane. Come take a ride on the wild side.
Oh, I hear you. Believe me, I understand the temptation. But that wild ride can have some serious consequences. I actually found a great example in this Morningstar article. You familiar with leveraged and inverse ETFs? So there are these funds designed for short-term, high-risk plays, like the financial equivalent of bungee jumping, right? A quick thrill, but potentially disastrous.
Right. Okay, so high risk. Got it.
Yeah, and the thing about them is they can really mess with your head, especially when it comes to compounding. Remember how we were talking about compounding being like your best friend for long-term growth?
Right.
Well, with these leveraged ETFs, compounding can actually work against you.
Oh, really? How so?
So basically, they're designed to magnify the daily returns of an asset.
Sounds great, right? But if the asset goes down, the ETF magnifies that loss too. Imagine that happening day after day.
Ouch. Yeah, that doesn't sound good. So it's not just about potential losses, it's about those losses being like amplified.
Exactly. And to make it even clearer, the article gives this real-world example. They looked at an ETF tied to MicroStrategy, that company heavily linked to Bitcoin.
Oh yeah, I know them.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about Bitcoin. What happened?
So get this. In the time period they looked at, MicroStrategy stock actually did incredibly well, up over 100%.
Wow.
But the 3x leveraged ETF tied to it, the one that was supposed to triple those gains, down over 80%.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. So even though the underlying asset was doing great, the leveraged ETF totally tanked.
Exactly. And it just shows how important it is to really understand what you're investing in. Now think about those 401k millionaires. They weren't chasing these quick wins. They just stayed the course, riding out those ups and downs.
Makes you think, huh? Two totally different approaches and such drastically different outcomes. And that contrast is exactly what we're going to keep unpacking. Stick with us as we dig deeper into why people are so drawn to fast money.
It's wild to think that those 401k millionaires just use that slow and steady approach and reach this crazy financial goal. But it makes me wonder why more people aren't doing it.
Yeah.
Like what's stopping them?
It's a good question. And it goes way beyond just like understanding how investing works. It's more about all the messages we get all the time. Like everywhere you look, it's all about get rich quick or become a millionaire overnight. It's like our society just needs everything right now, even when it comes to money.
It's so true. Everyone wants that quick fix, right? Like some secret trick to unlock instant wealth.
Yeah.
I mean, those schemes definitely sound more exciting than like slowly putting money into a 401k for years.
Yeah, but that kind of thinking can be so dangerous, you know? It pushes people to make like impulsive decisions that can really hurt them financially down the road. It's like choosing that sugar high over like a healthy meal. It might feel good now, but it won't last.
So it's like, while some people are quietly building wealth with their 401ks, others are getting caught up in these financial fads that rarely work.
Yeah, and unfortunately, a lot of companies in the financial industry kind of take advantage of that whole mindset. They create these super complex products that promise huge returns, but hide the risks. Like, remember those leveraged ETFs we were talking about?
It's like a casino almost, right?
Yeah.
Where the house always wins.
That's a great way to put it. And that's why knowing about finances is so important. It's not just about picking stocks or whatever. It's about understanding how money actually works and recognizing those traps, you know?
Yeah, it's like learning how to read the fine print before you sign something important.
Exactly. It's about giving yourself the power to make those smart decisions that'll help you in the long run. Remember, building wealth is like a marathon, not a sprint.
Speaking of plans, you mentioned some practical things people could do to start building their own wealth in a 401k. Can you walk us through those?
For sure. The first thing, if you can, is to really use your employer's 401k plan. These often have tax advantages and, like we've seen, can be amazing for building long-term wealth.
And don't forget to set up automatic contributions. Just like paying a bill, that way you're investing without even thinking about it.
Exactly. Make it a habit. Just set it up and let it do its thing in the background. And even if you can only put in a small amount, remember that starting early and being consistent is what matters.
Yeah, it's like planting a little seed. It might not look like much at first, but with time, it can grow into a big, strong tree.
Absolutely. But what about those who don't have a 401k from their work? What are their options?
Yeah, that's a good point. Not everyone has that same benefit. So what else is out there?
Well, there are individual retirement accounts or IRAs. They also have tax advantages, and you can open them yourself even if your job doesn't offer a 401k.
Oh, so it's like your own personal retirement savings plan.
Exactly. And then there are taxable brokerage accounts, which are more flexible with your investments, but don't have those tax benefits.
So you got to weigh the pros and cons and see what works best for you. And maybe talk to a financial advisor if you're not sure.
Absolutely. A good advisor can help you create a plan, guide you through those complicated investment choices, and help you as your needs change over time.
It's like having a personal trainer for your money.
I like that. But even with the best plans, sometimes people get held back by fear.
Yeah, the fear of losing money, right? It's a powerful thing.
But here's the thing. Trying to avoid all risk can actually be the riskiest thing in the long run.
Wait, so playing it too safe can actually hurt you financially?
It can. You see, if you just keep all your money in a savings account, it might feel safe, but it's actually losing value because of inflation. So if you put $100 in savings today and inflation is 3% next year, that $100 will only be worth $97 of stuff.
Sure.
You're losing buying power.
So it's like running on a treadmill, you're working hard but not really going anywhere.
That's exactly it. So it's important to remember that investing has some risk, but you can manage that risk by being diverse, thinking long-term, and having a good strategy.
So it's not about avoiding risk completely, it's about embracing it in a smart way.
Exactly. And the biggest risk is not investing at all and missing out on the chance to grow your wealth.
That's true. It's like saying you're too scared of getting wet to learn how to swim. But if you don't take that risk, you'll miss out on all the fun.
Great analogy. It totally applies to investing. We got to be willing to learn as we go, and remember that the potential rewards are worth it.
We've covered a lot today, from 401ks to financial smarts and handling risk. It seems like building wealth is more than just about money. It's a journey of self-discovery. But before we wrap up, I got to ask, if this slow and steady thing works so well, why do you think more people aren't doing it? What are the things that stop people from getting on this path to wealth, and how can we overcome them?
That's a great question to think about. And it's something we'll explore as we head into the final part of our deep dive. Stick around as we uncover those barriers and unlock the secrets to reaching your full financial potential.
Okay, so we're back, and we were talking about how people can become millionaires through 401ks. But the thing is, if it's so easy, why isn't everyone doing it? Like, what's actually stopping people?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. And it kind of shows us something about not just money, but about our whole society too. Because sometimes the biggest problem isn't picking the right investments, but just getting people to start investing at all.
So it's like there are two different races happening at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
One is about figuring out the best investments, and the other is just about getting people to the starting line.
Right. And one of the biggest things that stops people is just getting started. The whole world of investing can seem so scary and confusing with all these weird terms and complicated products.
It's like going to the gym for the first time and seeing all those machines you have no idea how to use.
Yeah.
Where do you even begin?
Exactly. And just like at the gym, that feeling can make people freeze up and do nothing. They might put off investing because they're scared of messing up, or they just don't know what to do first.
So it's like this self-fulfilling prophecy kind of thing. The fear of investing stops people from investing, which then makes them even more scared.
Exactly. And that's where knowing about finances is so important. It's about giving people the tools and confidence to take charge of their money and their future.
So it's like learning new language. Once you know the basics, you can start talking and expressing yourself better.
Right.
And with money, that means being able to make smart choices for yourself and your future.
Exactly. But for some people, even if they want to invest, they just might not have the money to do it. We talk a lot about 401ks, but not everyone's job offers that. And even if they do, they might not make enough money to save a lot.
It's like we're asking everyone to climb this big financial mountain, but some people are starting at the bottom while others are already halfway up.
That's a great way to put it. And it shows how some things in our society can make it really hard for certain people to build wealth. Like when there's a big gap between the rich and the poor, or when housing and healthcare are super expensive, it makes it hard to save and invest.
So it's not just about what individuals do, it's also about making things fairer for everyone, so they have a real chance to succeed financially.
Absolutely. And while we need big changes to fix these problems, there are still things people can do. Like we talked about IRAs and taxable brokerage accounts. Those are good options for people who don't have a 401k. And even small amounts of money can grow a lot over time thanks to compounding.
It's like they say the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. Even a small start is important.
Exactly. Don't underestimate those small, consistent actions. It's like working out a muscle. The more you do it, the stronger it gets. Over time, those little contributions can become something amazing.
Shows us that building wealth is about the journey, not just the end goal. It takes time, effort, and sometimes you got to be creative to overcome the tough parts.
Absolutely. And I think that's what makes those 401k millionaires so inspiring. They didn't let fear, confusion, or money problems stop them. They kept their eyes on the prize, saved consistently, and ended up reaping the rewards of their hard work and patience.
It's like they found this secret way to succeed, not by cheating or anything, but by just sticking to this simple plan of slow and steady growth. And that's something we can all try to do with our own money.
For sure. So as we finish up this deep dive, I want you to remember this. You don't have to be a money expert or rich to start building wealth. It's about taking that first step, learning as you go, and being consistent.
It's about embracing that slow and steady approach and trusting that over time, those small, consistent actions can lead to amazing results. And hey, maybe one day you'll be one of those 401k millionaires relaxing on a beach somewhere, all thanks to the power of compound growth.
I'll cheers to that. Remember, your financial future is yours to create. Start today, keep at it, and never underestimate the power of slow and steady to change your life.
And on that note of empowerment and inspiration, we'll wrap up this episode of The Deep Dive.
Please subscribe if you enjoyed this content. Thanks for listening or watching.